Hello everyone, thank you for joining us today. Before we start, remember you are all 5-star listeners. Eyes are watching, ears are listening, lips are closed, hands are still, and feet are quiet. Today's book is called Mr. McGinty's Monarchs, written by Linda Vander Hayden and illustrated by Aileen Ryan Ewin. On lazy afternoons, Mr. McGinty watched monarchs dip and rise on the summer breeze. With his magnifying glass, he studied them, sipping sweet nectar from the flowers. And when Mr. McGinty and Sophie went for long walks, he marveled as monarchs flitted and fluttered from milkweed to milkweed, laying eggs. "Milkweed's the only plant a monarch uses to lay its eggs," he told Sophie. "When the eggs hatch, the caterpillars feed on the leaves. What'd you think of that?" Sophie's tail thumped. Summer slipped by quickly. One morning, Mr. McGinty awoke with Sophie's warm breath on his face. "Come on, girl, let's check on the monarchs." When they reached the stretch of road where the milkweed grew thick, Mr. McGinty's shoulders drooped. His lower lip trembled. All the beautiful plants lay on the ground. Mr. McGinty examined the cut stems. Monarch caterpillars clung to the drying milkweed. Some stretched their striped bodies, searching for a place to climb. Hurrying home, Mr. McGinty loaded an old wagon with jars. Its rusted wheels squeaked as he pulled it from the shed. "Hurry, Sophie," he called. "We're going on a monarch mission." Squeak, squeak, squeak. Mr. McGinty carefully picked up each monarch caterpillar. "Betcha didn't know these little wigglers are also called larvae, huh, Sophie?" Sophie sniffed at the caterpillar. Cars slowed. People shook their heads. "Not a fuss over some fancy worms," one woman said. Mr. McGinty paid no heed. With gentle fingers, he lifted each leaf and lowered each larva. Soon his jars were full of wriggly, wiggling, stretching caterpillars. "Time to go home, girl," he patted Sophie's head. Mr. McGinty, Sophie, and the wagon full of wriggling, wiggling, stretching caterpillars rolled along. Squeak, squeak, squeak. Mr. McGinty purchased aquariums, lots and lots of aquariums. He lined the bottoms with sticks and milkweed leaves. He placed the caterpillars inside and covered each aquarium with a screen. Stroking Sophie's ears, he watched the caterpillars feast on fresh leaves. Mr. McGinty slumped into his chair. "How will we ever take of all these caterpillars, Sophie? They'll need fresh milkweed leaves every day. They'll need someone to watch them as they grow, and someone to release them after they become butterflies." Mr. McGinty sat up straight and snapped his fingers. "Sophie," he said, "I've got it." The next morning, he and Sophie loaded the truck with caterpillars. They drove to a nearby school. Mr. McGinty taught the children about the life cycle of monarchs, from eggs to caterpillars to chrysalises to butterflies. "When these caterpillars become butterflies," he said, "they'll migrate. He left an aquarium of wriggling, wiggling, stretching monarch caterpillars with each classroom so the children could feed and take care of them. At the end of the day, Mr. McGinty had one aquarium left. His eyes sparkled. "Looks like this one's coming home with us, Sophie." Every day, Mr. McGinty fed the caterpillars fresh milkweed leaves. The monarch caterpillars grew and grew. They formed chrysalises until finally, when the monarchs had straightened their wings and were strong enough to fly, Mr. McGinty rolled out the old wagon one more time. Squeak, squeak, squeak. "Ready, Sophie?" Mr. McGinty laughed. Woof! Sophie danced around his feet. They joined the children on the playground. Together, they lifted the screens from the aquariums. One after another, monarchs spread their wings and flew. Up, up, up. An early autumn breeze brushed against Mr. McGinty's cheek. He watched as monarchs fluttered, featherlight across the field. "They'll have a long way to go," said Mr. McGinty, "but they'll be back." Sophie licked them on his nose. "And we'll be here to welcome them home." The end. Thank you for joining us today. I really hope you enjoyed the book. If you like, please hit the like button and subscribe. It will definitely help me out. Thank you. We will see each other very soon.